Welcome to Dynamic Thriving Podcast. I am your host, Mary Ann Pack, spiritual guide into all things life transformational. And I am so happy that you have joined us because we have a very dear guest, a friend of mine and colleague, Lori Raggio. Welcome, Lori. I am so happy you've joined us.
Oh, thank you so much, Marianne. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And her website is inspiregreatnesscoaching.com. Is that correct, Lori?
Yes.
Very good. So let's again set our intention as we do on all of our podcasts. And let's set our intention for this segment of our day to commit to being more authentically you as you're becoming more, because life always calls more from us. That's what puts eternity in the eternal, the ever-going moreness. We're always creating more and moving forward. And so be open to that. Be ready to claim that for your life and to move through that with your intention. So I want to just jump right in and ask Lori, who is Lori Raggio and what good do you bring into the world?
Yes, Marianne. I'm actually the founder and CEO of Inspire Greatness Coaching and Consulting. And that includes leadership coaching for women, organizational coaching for organizations, consulting around human capital management. And then I also do facilitation of transformational retreats.
Don't we love retreats? Lori and
Yes.
I were in a coaching program with our dear mentor and coach, Darla Ledoux from Sourced Experience. And we have gotten to retreat together when that was a thing, when we got to be in person. So I am so looking forward to that happening again. So thank you, Lori, for leading these transformational retreats, because I know they are of great value to your clients.
Yes.
So you refer to yourself as your Inspire Greatness coaching and consulting. So tell us just a little bit more about, I guess, about even where you came up with that idea, that title, because a lot of times there's a story behind how we call our businesses, the name of our businesses.
Yes. Well, I actually started this business about 3 years ago. And it was started after I was eliminated from a job, an HR leadership role that I had been in for about 16 years. And although that was really devastating at the time, it was the best thing that could happen to me now that I can look back. And it actually was a milestone within my spiritual journey, because I had been talking about doing something different, about coaching, about starting my own business. And I guess I needed kind of a kick in the pants, to get started. And so as I was looking at what was it that I wanted to bring to the world, I believe very deeply that every single person has greatness. And sometimes that greatness is hidden or it just hasn't been unveiled yet, but everyone has greatness. And so one of the skills and the gifts that I have is that I'm able to help people fairly quickly to uncover what that is and to help them to bring it to the world. So I thought, well, what a better, title for my company than to say, inspiring the greatness of people that I work with.
Absolutely.
So thanks for that question, Marianne.
Yeah, there's always those little stories, and some of our company names are so intriguing to me, because there's always a reason we name our business. And my business, my LLC, is Envision Greatness. So we're very heart and heart with our stories. So our topic today is being and becoming a spiritual journey.
Yes.
So what does being and becoming mean to you? Because those two words are tossed around so much in the transformational realm of coaching. And it's like, I never really hear people giving what they think it is, because I think
Yeah.
there's tendencies to tweak it a little bit different for every coach.
Sure.
So what
Sure.
is your definition of being and becoming?
Yeah. And before I say that, let me give you kind of little backstory to that as well. So when I was looking for coaching programs, one of the things that was so important to me is that I'm a doer and actually workaholic. Not right now, but it was in the past. And so I had plenty of skills at doing. So when I was looking for a coaching program, I was looking for one that was really going to help me to focus on how I show up in the world, how I use my energy, how I interact with other people, how I attract certain people to me. And so for me, the being is that it's how I show up. It's my energy level. It's my mindset. It's all of those things. And I believe that we are being and becoming at the same time. So we don't have to wait for a future time to say, I'm going to become whatever it is that we want to be. So I see it like it's a continuum. We're working on being in the present and what we're wanting, what our desires, what our aspirations are, how we're becoming as we move through life. So to me, it's a continuum.
I like.
And one of the things that I'm doing now is I'm in the process of finalizing a book chapter, one of the Ladies Power Lunches anthologies. This will be my second one. And I'm titling it Being and Becoming a Spiritual Journey. And I've actually included a quote from the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, that
Mhm.
came from her book. And she says, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. It's forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously toward a better self. And so I believe exactly what she says, that it really is it's a continuum and it's not a destination, it's a journey.
I would so agree with that.
Yeah.
We're eternal beings.
Yes.
We're eternal beings,
Yes.
not eternal doings.
Doers.
We're
I know.
doers, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's living in that now, living in that
It
space of
is.
where are you? Who are you being as
Yes.
you're on the, like you said, the continuum
Yes.
to the becoming. It's not like we have to wait. There's no
Yeah.
end destination because we're eternal. There is no
Right.
end.
Right.
So I love that. I love that description that you gave us.
Well, and Marianne, think about just if we were to think about where were we 2 years ago
Hmm.
and how were we being? So, how are we showing up in the world and how that's different now?
Right.
Does
Yes.
anything come to mind for you when you think about like the last couple of years?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, I feel like improvements. If I go back and read my journal, because I'm a big proponent of journaling,
Yeah.
and you go back and look at some of your ideas and you go,
Mhm.
wow, that was really a limiting belief
Yes.
around something, whatever it happened to be. And then thinking, but I don't feel that way now.
Right.
So getting
Right.
to see the progress, the growth, the
Yes.
becoming,
Yes.
and all along the way, I was being.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm actually becoming. And now, in 2 years, I'm going to look back at these journals and get to see the progress
Right.
every day also.
Right. And
Mhm.
so I think for me, it's helpful for us to identify what helped us to get there as well. So, like when I look back at 2 years, my mindset was more of fear, making decisions out of fear, more focused on lack versus trust versus abundance versus faith, and so practices that I put into place to help me to get to that point is what has helped me on my spiritual journey.
I like
So it's important to be able to identify what it is that we were doing to help us
Mhm.
become.
I
Yeah.
like that too, because yeah, we do, because we have to recognize, because we can be very forgetful people. I know I am. And then I go, oh, I used to do this and now I forgot to
Yes.
do it. And as soon as I institute it again, it's like, oh, well, there's a boost. You know,
Yes. Yes.
that
Yeah.
straightened me up a little bit and gave me
Yeah.
a little more encouragement and joy.
Yes.
So yes,
Absolutely.
I love that you have us identify what are
Yeah.
those things that actually created that in our lives.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
good.
and one of the things that I've realized in writing this book chapter this time is, I was thinking that my spiritual journey was really more for the last 3 years, but I look back and some of it actually started when I was 10 years old, when I was 12
Mm,
years old. I mean, to me, it's almost been a 4-decade journey
yes.
when I really look at it.
Oh, very much so. Because as a young woman, you know, being a very victim mindset, I was queen
Mm,
of complaining and didn't know really that I could have the peace and the well being that I have
hmm.
today.
Hmm.
So I created a very sick body because my body just was listening the whole time to all that
Right.
negativity and just said, I can't do it
Right.
anymore.
Right. Right.
So, now it's like I feel so good most all of the time. And
Yes.
at 62, that's pretty darn good. So yeah, the
Yeah.
becoming, that spiritual journey, all those things make up
Yes.
who we are and who we
Yes.
are becoming. You
Yeah.
can't just shut off, okay, well, I'm only going to go back 15 years.
Right.
It's
Right.
who we are, the whole thing created who we
Yes. Yes.
are. I love
Well, and I think the other thing is that it really, and what you just mentioned too, it really, when you think about a spiritual journey, it has to involve mind, body, spirit and soul, and work. All of those things are really part of, designing practices so that we're as well as we can be in all of those areas.
I love that. I love that. And I love how you said designing practices.
Yes.
It's not it's not just we're going to blow through life, but we're
Right.
actually designing that life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're going to touch on more about that. I
Yeah.
do want you to explain what you mean by a spiritual journey, because
Hmm.
you've told me before, we've had other conversations, and you said you want to demystify spirituality, that
Yes.
spiritual side of us. So just
Right.
speak to that a little bit for us.
Sure. Well, I think to me, when you start to talk about spirituality with people, many times they think about it as religion.
Yes.
And I think that they're two separate things. They certainly can be connected, but they're really two separate things. And you don't have to have a particular religion to be a spiritual person. So to me, the spirituality is the acknowledgement and understanding and then embodiment of knowing that we're not alone, that we are a part of a bigger universe, part of, something that's divine, whether people want to call that spirit or source or God or, whatever. But the idea that we are radically connected to each other and to the environment, to the land. And so when we allow ourselves to realize that and to also believe that we will be taken care of if, we are following practices that are good for us and good for others,
Mhm.
then I think we have the opportunity to have an amazing spiritual journey.
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, that alignment with our spirit, with our inner being. I tend to call it inner being or
Yeah.
source. It
Yes.
doesn't, the labels do not matter
No,
at all.
no.
No matter if, I tend to call my God force source or source energy or spirit.
Hmm.
So labels don't matter, folks.
No, no.
It's your heart, it's your intention. Where are
Yes.
you going? What are you acknowledging? Is there a source higher than you, outside of you, but
Hmm.
in you? So and that
Yeah.
we're all connected. I love the oneness that you talk about,
Hmm.
that we are one.
Yeah.
Because everything we do, everything on our being and becoming path, we are affecting
Yes.
everyone around us.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
believe we're all uplifters, teachers, and healers in our
Yes.
own rights.
Yeah.
Um, you will always teach by the example of your life,
Yes.
whether it's positive or negative. You're always teaching. You're always learning from others around you. So
Yeah.
that one,
Yeah.
you can't stop that. You can't.
Well, I think once you have experiences and you acknowledge them for what they are, then it's difficult to go back to to an older way of being. It's
Yes.
more challenging to go back.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the things that I've noticed since I moved to Arizona in June is that this was where I needed to be. I mean, 15 years ago, I had a sense of being called here. But once I was here, my intuition is so much stronger here. My connection to the land, there's daily reminders to me that I'm a part of something so much bigger. Um, and I think as other people are getting more in tune with their intuition and their own spiritual journey, um, they will also be able to recognize that. And you just see things differently.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that because, yeah, I can't even remember what it was like being that miserable back then. It's like you said, you really can't go back. And I don't believe we can energetically. I don't believe we can
Yeah.
by who we have become. That
Yes.
is the old side of us, the old past that we've grown through. And now we're here. I don't feel energetically we can go back that way. Do you think so?
Well, I mean, I think that there's just part of being human is that we have emotions,
Oh, sure,
So, I mean,
sure.
I think
Mhm.
some of emotions might bring up, a thought of, fear again or something like that. But I think that if we put certain practices into place, we can catch ourselves quickly
Yes.
and put that fear into perspective. And you can get really creative about how to do that.
Hmm.
Um, so, yeah.
So you bringing that up, like, I know that you are so good at teaching your clients to, incorporate spiritual practices. So
Mhm.
could you just give our audience an idea about some of the things that you suggest or that you do yourself
Sure.
that
Yeah.
brought you to this place of understanding?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
our mess is our message. What we've gone through,
Yes.
what we teach, because we know how we came through it. And it's like
Yes.
she said earlier, we identify those things that got us through or got us to move forward. When you do that, you end up teaching those things, whether it's just by the sheer fact that you're living them and people
Right.
watch your life, or you actually put them into a format like she has done and has created ways to help her clients do this. So
Yeah.
please tell us a little bit more about how to
Sure.
incorporate spiritual practices.
Yeah, I think for me, Marianne, I have a daily routine that involves meditation in the morning. I many times use Mike Dooley's Notes from the Universe, as well as Richard Rohr has a daily post that talks about various, spiritual ideas. I definitely do exercise or some type of movement every day. That's mainly when I connect with source for me, is being outside.
Mhm.
Um, I take care of myself physically by healthy eating. Um, and I have a gratitude journal.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that I am including in my book chapter, which is kind of funny and something a little bit newer for me, but I have this connection with animals,
Ah.
primarily dogs, but I can be walking and every dog that I see, if I make eye contact with that dog, the dog is pulling its owners over to me. It's kind of like this game every day that
Mhm.
but what it's done during COVID is that has given me an opportunity to have connections with people that might be the only connection for that day. But that walking around this lake, there's this constant connection, not only with dogs, but with their owners. I mean, it's been fascinating, fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, there's just so many different things. Tapping is something that I've used in the past as well. Um, where you're actually tapping or touching different meridians on your face, on your head, etc. That helps to reduce stress and institute focus. So there's just, I mean, there's
I
a
have
lot.
a little story about tapping. And folks, if you haven't ever heard of tapping, it's like she said, you're tapping your meridians. It's crown and eyebrow,
Yeah.
temple, cheek, under the nose, under the chin,
Yes.
and the
Eh,
clavicle, your
yeah.
chest. And there's other places too, but that's the primary cycle that you go through. And a few years ago, I don't remember, just all of a sudden I had this. Oh, it's also called the emotional freedom technique.
Yes.
Um, but uh, I had this pain in my ankle. I think it was my right ankle. And it just popped up and it was like there for a couple of weeks or something. And I was like, what is this? Because I know metaphysics. I
Mhm.
got out my Louise Hay You Can Heal Your Life book and I looked up the ankle and looked up pain and so it was telling me about, and it was my right side, so it was masculine, it was moving forward, and
Mhm.
it was just telling me what some of the emotion
Yes.
characteristics might have been that I created, because I know you create pains and illness in your body. I lived it for 40 years, and now don't. So,
Mm.
um, because of my mindset change. But I thought, okay, well, I'm going to tap on this. So I did a few rounds of tapping, and it was like that pain just
Yeah.
went away, and it had been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So whatever I was clearing
Yes.
in my emotions and my thoughts and my energy field, it just released it, and I never had that pain afterwards. But for about 2 weeks I had this weird
Yeah.
pain in my ankle, and so I know
I
how.
know it works. It
Yeah.
does. I had a very similar situation where I woke up one morning, I must have slept wrong or something, and I had horrible pain in my neck and my shoulders.
Mm,
And I started tapping, and by the next day, it
yes,
was gone.
yes, yes, yes.
So, yeah.
There's so much to that energy, and and for me too, focusing on well-being, not so
Mhm.
much healing, because healing does have a subtle negative energy to it, because you're healing from something you have,
Mm.
rather than simply acknowledging the well-being that your body knows how to do. And if you'll get out of the way with your doubt or your worries about this little thing that's come up or whatever, and focus on thanking your body for the well-being it knows, and as meditate or allow your intuition to flow, as you deep breathe, you're
Mm.
calling life force that
Yes.
is creating that well-being in your body. So there's a lot of these subtle energy movements that I know
Yes.
Lori practices. So,
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that I've noticed is that as I am focused on my own being and becoming and my own spiritual journey, I am definitely attracting coaching clients
oh,
that are in that same mindset and doing similar things. And so what it has done is it's also given me then that opportunity to bring all of myself, all of my skills, all of my talents, including my spirituality, my use of my intuition, my use of my oracle cards. I mean, just everything to those coaching conversations. And then my clients are getting the benefit of that as well. And I'm seeing amazing transformation in them.
wow. I know you work a lot with people's essence. Can you just give us a
Yes.
little brief explanation of what do you mean by people's essence?
Yeah, part of my coaching program was we learned a process called the essence conversation. And it's really helping people to take a look at where they are in their own comfort zone. And their comfort zone includes things like your fears, your feelings, your kind of perfect moments, your um, self defense mechanisms. And typically, most of us live on a daily basis kind of in that self defense mechanism place
Mhm.
until we learn that there's a different place to come from, which really does include our being. But so what I do is that I help individuals come up with really 5 words that describe or summarize their authentic self or their essence.
Mm.
And part of that also comes from them asking people who are close to them a question. And so it's a fascinating process. It's
Mm.
um, just a process that I think people learn a lot about themselves, because
Mhm.
many times we have blind spots, and so we might see ourselves very differently than someone else might. But once you know your essence or your true self and you show up that way every day, your life can change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so what are some of the words that people get? What do you mean by essence? Like what
Okay.
kind of words are you talking about?
Yes. So things like mine is harmony, power, source, glow, and heart.
Ooh.
That's my essence. Um, I recently completed an essence conversation process with someone, and some of hers were integrity, love, curiosity. I'm trying to think some of the other ones, but it's just it's taking a combination of feedback and my own intuitive sense about that person,
Yes.
and designing 5 words. They're always nouns, um,
Oh,
because a noun helps with who you are and who you are
right.
being. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. It's not just like an attribute. It's actually
Right.
a
Right.
noun. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I know some
I
people
never
have
thought about
actually
that.
gone and taken those essence words and incorporated them into their marketing materials for their business and things like
Mm,
that. So,
that's a really good idea.
yeah.
I would think that would help with like even branding and
Yes.
you know,
Hmm.
because on the flip side, again, that's probably going to be what attracts
Yes.
clients to you because they may have something similar or have a part of that that's being
Hmm.
mirrored to them
Hmm.
that attracts them
Yes. Yeah.
because they may have part of that essence or they may
Yes. Yes.
because you always recognize, I mean, the things that to me, the qualities and probably the essence of somebody that's like our hero, somebody we look up to,
Mm.
admire, that we
Mhm.
so admire their qualities and who they are and their core values. And I, you know, I think we recognize those most because it's actually mirroring back to us what we already have inside, and maybe we haven't even
Yes.
considered it.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that,
There's
oh,
some kind of
that's not
connection,
me.
right?
You
Yeah, there's a
know?
connection, there's an understanding, there's a curiosity about it, there's, yeah, it's an alignment. Yeah.
Yeah. Because so many times, we got the mean girl inside that's going, you know, it's so critical. So yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that, how to know your essence would be very valuable because I love writing I am statements,
Yes.
so that's part of my um, spiritual practice
Hmm. Hmm.
that I like to do because it just makes me feel so much better. And, if I'm starting to go in a slump, I could go, but
Hmm.
wait, who am I? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. So would you like to tell us anything more about, either incorporating spiritual practices or being or becoming, anything you would like to talk about?
I think, I mean, I guess what I would say is I believe that the focus on understanding who you currently are being and what your aspirations are, and then putting into practice activities, processes to help you to get there is really worth the time and the effort.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, people just don't slow down enough
Mm.
um, to consider it. And they live their life just almost on autopilot instead of really stopping and intentionally creating what it is that they want. And I know I can say that because I experienced that. And I know lots of other people, who have done the same thing. So if we don't initiate it, more than likely something
Yeah.
will, happen to give us that opportunity.
Yes.
So I would say don't wait. you know.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just don't spend time because that's not the norm. The norm is to keep going, 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 going,
Yes.
going, produce, produce, but yet um, we don't acknowledge who we are or what are our aspirations.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
love it that you turned that, leaving that position or
Mm.
being forced to leave that position, you didn't let that just throw you into such a panic. You spiraled downward.
Hmm.
You chose to take it and examine. Okay,
Yeah.
start asking questions, the curiosity
Hmm.
that you talked about, um,
Yeah.
to use that to your benefit and your
Yes.
growth
Yeah.
instead of. So do you have that with a lot of clients? Are they also going through like a a big evolutionary step or something?
Well, it's fascinating because I mean, I have all my clients are women. All of them are professionals in some way. Some of them are actually leaders who have people reporting to them.
Mhm.
Um, but they all are at a certain point in their life, whether they're in their early 30s or the early 70s, which is the age range that they
Yes.
span right now. Um, they're all evaluating how they spend their time, how they spend their energy, and are they making the impact that they really want? And
Oh,
so there's something that they're questioning about, not necessarily that something's missing, but they're not 100% fulfilled.
yeah.
And so it's kind of that exploration, to find out what is it or what is it that they want, to do differently. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we definitely there's times in our lives when we need to take stock of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Even like for myself, moving out of the mindset of, you know, victimhood, or, you know, I must just be a sickly person, not knowing at that time for so many years,
Yeah.
understanding that I was just standing in the way of my well-being,
Mm-hmm.
and my body couldn't receive its
Right.
natural flow of well-being.
Yeah.
I was putting up a block, a barricade to that
Mm.
by my energy and my attitudes and my thoughts. And then to start coming into, you know, hearing about mindset and the importance of it and what it does energetically,
Yeah.
um, just just opened me to alternative thinking, well, now what else do I need to examine?
Right.
What other beliefs have I been? It's like
Right.
you said, it's,
Right.
it's, I used to be a religious person. I had a thread of spirituality,
Yeah.
but now I am totally a spiritual person. And if I follow religious beliefs, it's only because it's in support of
Yes.
the,
Yeah.
the spirituality I already enjoy,
Right. Right.
because there were so many that I learned, the dogmas as the rules of the church, that don't support me. And so I let them
Mm.
go by the way, and
Yeah.
installed the beliefs and the, I had my inner truth. I have access just as much as any minister or guru, or I have my inner source. So that truth is
Mm-hmm.
in me. So yes, I love that you, again, to just talk about it as a spiritual journey. It's
Yeah.
not a one and done.
No, no. And I think, Marianne, when I said that I'm really on this path or this mission to kind of demystify it,
Mhm.
it's having these kinds of conversations to say, well, what is it? And
Yes.
what do we do? And what we're doing to support our becoming is normal, natural kinds of things
Mhm.
that anyone can begin doing. And
Absolutely.
then just, being ready
Hmm.
for, the growth and the changes that are going to happen in your life is the other piece of it. Um, because sometimes, what we need to do is evaluate, are the people that we're spending time with the right people? Is the job that we have the right job? Are we living in an environment that is in alignment? And sometimes the hard answers are no,
Yes.
and then we need to make some changes to support that.
Hmm. Can you also touch a little bit, because I know you're very intuitive also, trying to just give us a little bit of an idea about how you use your intuition, or how does it speak to you
Mm,
in your
yeah.
body, in your
Yes.
thoughts, down,
Yes.
however your
Yeah,
intuition speaks to you, because that's a huge subject on this show. And
it
you know,
is. Well, it is. And I think intuition is key to spirituality. That's what I believe.
yes.
There, for a long time, I was not paying attention to my intuition.
Hmm.
Um, and I, over the last year, have realized why that was the case. And that is, for me, in my body, where I feel my intuition is like right between underneath my ribs and right above my belly button. So it's that kind of area in my body.
Yeah.
That's where I get the signals for my intuition.
Kind of
And
your solar plexus, that solar
yeah,
plexus
yeah,
between the
kind of like
heart and the solar
it's
plexus.
really more kind of like your midsection, if
Oh,
you will,
okay.
kind of like between your belly button and your ribs,
Okay, gotcha.
that section right there. But when I was growing up, and for many years, probably 20 some years, I was dealing with anorexia. And part of my illness was control. And part of that was to control my intake, control all kinds of things. And so part of the control was not allowing myself to feel hunger. Well, hunger fits in that area. So I was numb in that area for many, many, many years.
Wow.
And there were things I think that my intuition was trying to tell me, and I couldn't recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so now it's amazing, that is where my intuition speaks to me, and it's very loud. Before it was this little whisper trying to get my attention that didn't work. And so I think, again, for someone to understand where in their body their intuition speaks to them is important, because it could be different for every person,
Oh,
but it's such a
absolutely.
gift.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, my intuition, to me, our inner being is who we are. Our intuition is their communication to us.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's kind of the play on inner
Mm-hmm.
being versus intuition versus,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times we interchange those words, but
Yes,
intuition is the communication
it is.
um, of
Yes.
what our inner being is trying to communicate. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering if you would talk to us a little bit about, how people can work with you, or
Sure.
something that they can. I know you've got a book that's come out.
Yeah.
I know you
Yeah.
have another book coming out.
Yeah. The best way for people to reach out to me is through LinkedIn, or through my email address. And I know sometimes, Marion, you give offers to people. So there's also, if, let's say the first 5 people who listen to the podcast and would want to have a free signed book and companion journal for the Transformation 2020 book, I would love to be able to provide that to the first five
Wow.
people who say that they heard about it through this podcast.
And let me tell you all, Transformation 2020 book is an anthology that is
Yes.
produced through Ladies Power Lunch, a group that Lori and I both belong to. And if you ladies are looking for
Mm,
a group where each member, we intentionally support one another and look for collaborating with one another to improve and increase our impact and our income. This group is phenomenal. It's a very
it
active
is.
Facebook group. There's so much that you can tap into, and you can speak to Lori or I, or just go to Ladies Power Lunch on Facebook. And
Yes.
their website is ladiespowerlunch.com. So, so this Transformation 2020 book is it 20 or 25 chapters of
There's
author?
20 women entrepreneurs authored a chapter. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was talking about transformation.
Yeah. It was talking about each person's own personal transformation, and then how they are using those learnings to support and help others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the next book that's coming out, again, another anthology through Ladies Power Lunch, it's called Success in Any Season.
Oh, that will be good.
And that will be coming out March or April of this year. And that's the one that'll have the chapter that's called Being and Becoming a Spiritual Journey.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So you said either on LinkedIn, and is it your name, Lori Raggio?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lori Raggio.
And I will
Yes.
have this, of course, in the description of the podcast, and your how they can get a hold of you, your email.
Okay.
And what is your website again?
It's inspiregreatnesscoaching.com.
Inspire, not
Inspire.
inspire. So I appreciate
Yes.
you being here today. I so love this conversation. Did you want to say anything else? Did you want to teach us anything else? Give us little nuggets of gold that we can.
I guess the last thing that I would like to say is something that I've heard, and many of us have heard, but I really believe at this point, is that our intuition is the voice of our soul.
Yes. I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah.
Like I said, our soul, our inner being, our inner source, whatever you call your inner eternal part of you, that broader eternal perspective. Yes, our intuition is that voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the thing is, it's a relationship, because you
Yes.
have to develop a relationship with your inner being for you to hear the voice.
Yes.
And it's not an audible. We're not talking about woo, audible voice. We're
Right.
talking about that inner knowing, that gut feeling, like Lori was
Mm.
saying, where she feels it in her body. Um, or there's an animal spirit, like the puppy dog she's talking about. There's all these messages, oracle cards, affirmation cards.
Mhm.
Even when you're in meditation or you're just in quiet appreciation of nature, you may get a download of new
Mhm.
ideas or thoughts. That is the voice of our inner being. That's our
Yeah.
intuition, right? Did you
Yes.
agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's going to be
Definitely.
different. And you know what? It even changes for me according to, I think, what I'm available to hear,
Mm.
being in a receptive mode because I'm in appreciation or gratitude, or, I've said, I am open and willing to hear, what do you have for me?
Mm.
And ask.
Yes.
You have not because you don't ask.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can ask and expect an answer, but you have to be in stillness. You can't be running your mouth. You can't have a lot of distractions. And this is why Lori and I both spend time in meditation.
Mm.
You have to quiet that crazy chatter, because they say we have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day.
Right. Right.
You even bring that down into a 15, 20 minute. I set my timer for 20 minutes for meditation. That's still a lot of thoughts in those 15, 20 minutes
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. Very true.
that you have to quiet, because the point of meditation, what I teach, the point of meditation is that it's a practice in focusing your thoughts, because
Hmm.
you're either focusing maybe on an ambient sound or your breath work, but it's to quiet your thoughts so that you also quiet the resistance thoughts,
Yes.
the doubts, the worries, the fears, the I want it but, kind of attitude.
Hmm.
So it's uh as you quiet those resistant thoughts, then things can get through. That still small voice of our intuition can get through.
Hmm. Marian, I always love talking to you. I think we always walk away with something that we've learned, and just kind of this, I don't know. It's just it's an enjoyable conversation every single time. So
It
thank you.
is. It is. And I so appreciate you. I appreciate your work. Y'all contact Lori. If you don't remember her, just contact me. You know where to find me. I'm always here on the podcast. I'm at mariannepeck.com. There's ways to work with us. And again, this is the perfect time to be coaching. We are getting ready to launch our um, coaching concierge website, our membership. And we are inviting these beautiful coaches to be on the platform in the directory so that we can connect you with the perfect coach for this season of your life.
Mm.
And we really want you to, um, come in there and find your coach. Lori among them. There are so many beautiful transformational coaches. And this is your time. This is your time to be and
Mhm.
becoming, and your spiritual journey will be so enhanced, which will, of course, spill over into all the goodness that life brings you, because we still are human beings. We want things, don't we? We like
Yes.
goodies,
Yeah.
don't we? We like to manifest things because we are still physical and non-physical beings. So I thank you, Lori. Do you have one more last nugget of gold for us? And then we're going to say goodbye.
Um, I would just say to trust yourself.
Yes.
I mean, if you're feeling the um, curiosity or the urge to look at your life differently, trust that it's time to do that and to ask for other people to help you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't asked back in
Mhm.
1993 in a health food store because
Mm,
I was dying from the drugs and the disease. So, you have to ask. That was my
yeah.
one step forward. And it opened up a world
Yeah.
of well being that I had never known. And then 2 years later, learn about mindset transformation. Oh my gosh, when the peace and the well being kicked in, it's like, woohoo, I didn't know life could be happy and joyful like this. So
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love that you all have joined us. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and give us a 5-star review on this podcast if you are so inclined, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our episodes. Please visit our website, mariannepack.com, for all of our services. And if you would like to be on the wait list for the coaching concierge membership, I'm not sure when this will air, so the doors could already be open. But if you would like to contact me at mariannepack.com, there's a form there that you can a little email form. You can shoot me an email and ask to be put on that list, or let you know when the doors open on that. So I would love you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Lori. I so appreciate you.
You're welcome, Marianne. Thank you.
And remember, you are joy looking for a way to express.